Hi and welcome to Ambrosia. My name is Bhavya Desai and today is all about India's first color changing gin. That's Nisaki Gin. Yes, you heard that right. This gin actually changes its color when you add different type of mixers in it, and it comes from this company called Project Peacock. The price of this is rupees 1850 in Goa with the ABV value of 40% for a 750 ml bottle. Now this is expected to come in Maharashtra around May and possibly in Haryana around July and August. Now, while being a color changing gin is a great marketing tool, at the heart of any product for it to be successful, it actually needs to taste good as well. So in this video, I'm going to find out whether this actually is a good product or not, or whether it's a great marketing push. But before you start watching this video, please make sure that you subscribe to our channel. Also, share this with all the gin lovers that you know, because this is something unique and very different. And let's get started. Now, as I mentioned, this comes from this company called Project Peacock, which is a Mumbai-based company and has been a dream of three friends for a very long time. But this is blended and bottled at Adinco distilleries in Goa in the London dry style. But the bottle very boldly states Indian dry gin, which is something which is very interesting. I really like it. Now, this actually uses Macedonian juniper to give its gin flavor and also uses 16 botanicals from India to add that great nice botanical and fresh feeling to it. And the moment you look at this bottle, you can understand that there's something different about this gin. Now usually the gins that you see or you drink, they're always a very clear and a transparent spirit. But when you look at Nisaki Gin, you can clearly see that there is a different color. Now this color has been specifically added to it because of its changing hue and changing colors nature. Now this is added by using the butterfly pea flower, which actually is infused into the spirit once the distillation process is complete. And this helps the gin to change into three vibrant colors like purple to pink when you add tonic water, purple to electric blue when you add water, and this color when you add soda. Now, apart from its color changing nature, there's something else which is interesting about this gin. Now, usually gins are always made of grain spirits which actually come from wheat or barley. But in this case, the makers have made it using rice-based spirit. And this they have done in order to avoid harshness and to make it a very smooth gin. Because it's a triple distilled processed gin, and also rice-based gins are usually made by Japanese makers. Now the blending process also is very interesting when it comes to Nisaki Gin. Now this is actually made in a batch of 200 liters in copper pot stills, which is then diluted to bottling strength, and it's rested for about 15 days in pharmaceutical grade blending tanks. Time is when it is added with the butterfly pea flower, which is infused after the distillation process. What I found very interesting is also some information about this recipe that the bottle gives. If you look closely, then the bottle actually says this is NI01. Now that actually denotes the first recipe that the makers have made, and as and when they tweak the recipe or make changes in it, that's when you will understand that this recipe has changed, when it will be 02, 03 and things like that. Now these small things make it very interesting because this truly is a small batch handcrafted gin, because with that 200 liters of blending that they do, only 1800 bottles have been made from this first recipe now. Now let's look at the packaging before we start opening the bottle and nosing it. Everything about this packaging, with a contoured bottle, with a color and things like that, it actually exudes premiumness, and you can see that. I love the name, it's really nice and bold, Nisaki, which is a color changing Indian dry gin. You can clearly see it. What I don't like though is that the ABP value and the 750 ml, they are really tiny. I wish that I could have actually seen them in a much bolder manner so that I could see it immediately. I also would like to definitely suggest that the recipe, which is the Ni01, possibly can be a little bit bolder as well. It's always great that users connect with such stories, and if you actually are able to give it in the sticker itself or in the label itself, then it makes it that much more interesting. The necktie is also very nice and unique. It actually has the shape of this bottle. Then when you open it up, you get a lot more information about the gin. At the back as well, you have all the important information, which is again the price. Apart from that, very important is the ingredients. It clearly states that there is all natural organic botanicals have been used, which means that there are no added flavors, no added sugar, XYZ. So now let's open up the bottle and go to the nosing and tasting, because I'm really excited about this. So this is a cork gin, so let's see if it has a nice pop. I think I could barely hear any pop. A very subtle hint of juniper. Wow, look at that color, is so interesting. Okay, as you can see, the color is so clear. It's nice and bluish, indigo sorts. So it's very interesting. When I actually uncorked the bottle, I actually got a little bit of whiff of a perfume sort of a aroma or the fragrance. But when I'm nosing this now, I'm actually not getting it. There is a definite subtle spike of citrusy feel for sure. Some light floral notes probably. But the juniper actually hits you. When I take a really nice deep breath, I can actually feel that my my nose is actually opening up a little bit as well. In terms of botanicals, I'm getting a little bit of the natural botanicals, a little bit of coriander as well. I'm surely getting a little bit of citrus, a little bit of peel. Okay. You know, it's not very often you actually taste a spirit which is of this color. So when I'm swirling it around, I'm really feeling a little different. Okay, very interesting. So naturally, when you're drinking it, you really get that hit of that citrusy feel. You get a little bit of the ginger as well at the end. Actually, as the flavor is settling in my mouth, I'm getting a little bit of ginger, a little bit of that cardamom as well. There is a very little bite. Actually, when you have that first sip and you are swirling it or you're trying to flavor it in your palate, then you definitely get that bite, you get that hit. But now it's kind of smoothing off, it's tapering off and things like that. The finish is quite long. I can still feel the finish in my throat. It's not as smooth as I anticipated it to be. For example, because it's a triple distilled product, and when it's before bottling, it goes through one more process of distillation, and with that I expected it to be a lot smoother, but yes, it is definitely not harsh, but it's not something which I would call very refined and very smooth as well. So how do I actually find the Nisaki Gin, which is a color changing gin? Now I think a lot of the inspiration for this gin has come from the Japanese products. For example, using a rice-based grain spirit, that usually is something that Japanese people do. Also, I could taste a little bit of flavor profile of some sort of a tea as well, but I'm not really sure, I can't be certain. But what's important to understand is that, you know, when a product like this comes in and it actually has a great marketing ploy, which is that it changes color when you add spirits to it, then you always tend to scrutinize a little bit more than what you'd possibly otherwise look at, because it is something very unique. And for that, you really have to hand the makers a lot of credit, because it actually is a conversation starter and it really is very unique and very different. But in terms of the gin and a product by itself, I think at rupees 1900, it's a decent product. I don't think it's one of the best gins that I'll taste in this price segment. But what worries me is that in Goa currently this is priced at rupees 1850, which means when it comes to Maharashtra and possibly goes to some of the other states down south, there is a possibility that it might be a little bit more expensive than what it is going to be in Goa. And for that premiumness, I feel at 1900 there should be a little bit more value that the product should give. Not that it does not, it does. It actually is a nice gin. It does give you a little bit of those party tricks as well, but I feel the recipe still requires a little bit more of tweaking. But for surely one time you should surely try this gin because it's quite interesting, quite unique, different flavor, different style, and that is something which probably might find a small niche market for it. So if you like this video, then make sure you like, share and subscribe to our channel. Also ensure that you share this video with all the gin lovers as well. Do try this gin and tell me how you find in the comments as well, especially because of its color changing nature. And until next time, very important is drink responsibly.